हरे कृष्णा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So welcome you all back to the fourth day of part 3 of this course, Rediscovering Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So we have been discussing from the second wave of the eastern section, and in that we have been discussing the Angas of devotional service, the 64 limbs as presented by Srila Rupa Goswami in this book Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. We have already completed the first 20 limbs, the door to Bhakti, absolute non-negotiable limbs. Apart from the last 5 most potent limbs, these 20 limbs cannot be neglected under any circumstances. So quickly, the 20 limbs that we will try to recollect. The first 5 are with respect to the Guru. Adav Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of the Guru. Then Shri Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam, taking Diksha and Siksha from the Guru. Third, Vishrambena Gurur Seva, how are we going to reciprocate? By serving the Guru with lot of respect and affection. And fourth is Sadhu Vartma Anuvartanam, following the path that has been laid down by the sadhus as given by Guru and Shastras. And Sadharma Pracha, inquiring into the subject matter of one's spiritual progress, that is how one can practice bhakti, which is relevant inquiries to the Guru, which is the fifth limb. So these 5 have in relationship with Guru. And then Bhogadi Tyaga Krishna se hetave, giving up sense enjoyment for, so that the time and energy can be utilized for Krishna's service. Dwarakadi Nivaso, developing a desire to reside in a holy place like Vrindavan, Mathura, etc., or on the banks of a holy river, so that one can favorably remember Krishna, and accepting only what is required to simply practice the process of bhakti. This is Yavad Artha Anuvartita. Harivasara Sammano is the 9th limb, respecting the days which are very dear to Krishna, like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, like that. And also respecting, giving appropriate respect to things, plants, people connected with Krishna, like the people tree and the Amlaki tree and Tulsi Marani and so on. And these are the 10 do's, and then the 10 don'ts, very important. The first one being avoiding non-devotional association. Shri Krishna Vimukha Jana Sangat Tyaga. And the 12th one was not being attached to making too many disciples just to increase the numbers in the parampara. Too many unqualified disciples actually. If one is capable of making too many very qualified disciples, then one should definitely accept, because it is important to increase the number of qualified disciples in the parampara also. And the 13th is reading too many useless books, non-Krishna conscious books which may not necessarily concur with the conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the extent to which our acharyas are specific in explaining this particular limb. Any book which may not concur with the finer conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam is a book which is not very conducive for our practice of Krishna consciousness in our parampara. Then the 14th is engagement in too many grandiose endeavors that might distract us from our prime practice of devotional service. Then 15th is Vyavahare api akarpanyam, not feeling miserable and not performing degrading acts in distressing circumstances. And 16th is not giving into extreme emotions like lamentation, etc., because it can take one's consciousness away from Krishna. And the 17th is not disrespecting the demigods. One has to give appropriate respect to every living entity. What to speak of the demigods? They are very exalted personalities. Then the 18th limb was Bhuta Anudvegadaita, not giving any trouble to other living entities. And 19th was avoiding Seva Nama Aparada Varjanam, avoiding Seva Aparad and Nama Aparad. And finally the 20th limb was Tad Nindadi Asahishnuta, not tolerating criticism of the Lord or his devotees. So these first 20 very important limbs we have seen. Now we will start discussing the rest of the limbs as given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the 21st limb is Vaishnava Chinna Dhriti. Vaishnava Chinna Dhriti means wearing the marks of a Vaishnava. So what are the marks of a Vaishnava? He quotes this verse from the Padma Purana. Ye kanta lagna tulasi nalina kshamala, ye bahumula parichinnita shanka chakra, ye valalata falakela sadurdva pundras, te Vaishnava bhuvanamashu pavitrayanti. So Padma Puran says, ye kanta lagna tulasi nalina kshamala. So these are some of the ornaments that Vaishnavas wear in their neck. Tulasi Nalinaksha Mala. So Tulasi beads and Nalina Aksha refers to the lotus seed, is also considered very, very auspicious. One can wear the necklace or the mala of lotus seeds also. And then it is mentioned that ye bahumula parichinnita shanka chakra. As we discussed the other day, as one accepts Vaishnava Diksha, there are 5 aspects of that Diksha, which is popularly called as Pancha Samskaras. Tapa Pundrat Tatanama Yago Mantrascha Panchama. So these are the 5 things. And the first thing is actually Tapa. Tapa means accepting the marks of Vishnu. So in traditional Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they actually, the spiritual master heats a silver or iron form of the Shankha and Chakra, which are the symbols of Vishnu. And when it is quite hot, then the symbols are, embossed on the 2 shoulders, indicating that this body now belongs to Vishnu. That is Tapa. That is the external meaning of Tapa. But the internal meaning of Tapa is actually what we have already seen. The eighth limb, Bhogadi Tyaga Krishnasya Hetave. That is the real meaning of Tapa. That is the deeper meaning of Tapa. Willing to live a life of sacrifice for pleasing Krishna. Sacrificing our own comforts and sense gratification for pleasing Krishna. This is actually Tapa. Otherwise, Tapa, the principle of Tapa cannot be a very simple thing which can be forgotten after the day of ceremony, because eventually that mark goes away after a few days or a few weeks, it goes away. But there is a deeper meaning to this ceremony of Tapa, which means, yes, my dear Guru Maharaj, from today, I promise you that I will as far as possible try to minimize my sense gratification so that I can utilize that consciousness for pleasing Krishna. This is the real meaning of Tapa. But of course, one should not neglect the external rituals also. As we see in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, there is an external ritual of marking the shoulders with the Shankha and Chakra. Actually, the external symbols actually remind us of the internal consciousness that we are expected to develop as Vaishnavas, which is Bhogadi Tyaga Krishnasya Hetave, willing to live a life of sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna. But which we have already seen, but here we are seeing about the external aspect of Ye Bahumula Parichinnita Shanka Chakra. So Bahu is hands, Bahu Mula is the root of the hands, which means the shoulders. Ye Bahumula Parichinnita Shanka Chakra. One who accepts the marks of Shanka and Chakra, the Vishnu symbols, on one's shoulders in order to declare one's subservience to Vishnu. Yeva Lalata Falake Lasadurdva Pundras. And you see the Urdhva Pundra, Lalata Falake is on the forehead, but of course apart from the forehead there are 11 other places where one accepts the Urdhva Pundra, the vertical tilak marks. So this is another of the Pancha Samskaras, which is Tapa Pundra. This is the second Urdhva Pundra. Accepting a Vaishnava is always expected to wear the marks of tilak on the 12 places in the body. It indicates actually that this body is a temple of the Lord and it has to be used in His service actually. That is the deeper significance of Urdhva Pundra. It's not just like a makeup that you put it very nicely and it must be glowing. It must be glowing, definitely. But the point is that ultimately it indicates that I am declaring that this body is a temple of Lord Vishnu. He is residing inside and His presence is indicated by His marks, the Urdhva Pundra marks, like that. Te Vaishnava Bhuvanamashu Pavitrayanti. And such Vaishnavas quickly purify the earth, Padma Puran says. So therefore, there are two Vaishnava Chinnas we have discussed here, three actually. One is the Tulsi beads or the lotus beads, and the second is the Tapa, Ye Bahu Mula Parichinnita Shanka Chakra, and then the Urdhva Pundra Tilak marks. These are all actually symbols indicating Vaishnava Chinna Dhriti. So Tapa, Pundra, Tata, Nama. The third aspect of the Pancha Samskar is to accept a Vaishnava Dasyanam, which reminds us that we are the servant of Krishna, like Krishna Das, Balaram Das, Radha Kanta Das, and so on, like that. And Yago refers to some spiritual duties, like the 64 limbs that we are discussing. They are all particular spiritual limbs or duties which are expected of qualified practitioners of devotional service. So particular spiritual duties. And finally, mantra. Mantra refers to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and also the Gayatri Mantra for those who are qualified to receive Gayatri Mantra. So these 5 are the 5 aspects of initiation which are called as Pancha Samskaras. And some of them fall within the category of the Vaishnava Chinna Dhriti, which includes the Tilak and which also includes the Vaishnava marks of Shanka and Chakra. That's what is described here as Ye Bahu Mula Parichinnita Shanka Chakra, Yeva Lalata Falake Lasadurdva Pundra, like that. That is the second, that is the 21st limb. The 22nd limb of devotional service is Namakshara Dhriti. Like you might have noticed some devotees, after applying the tilak with the remaining tilak, they write the names of Lord Krishna or Radharani on their chest. Shri Radhe, Shri Krishna, Govinda, and so on, which is also considered very, very auspicious, and it's a very bona fide limb of devotional service. And he again quotes a verse from the Skanda Purana to establish that this is a very bona fide act of devotional service. So he says, Harinamakshara yutam bhale gopi mridankitam tulasi maliko raskam sprisheyurna yamodbhataha. Harinamakshara one whose body is decorated with the Harinama Akshara, the names of Supreme Lord Hari. Bhale Gopi Mridankitam, and Bhale is the forehead, one whose forehead is decorated with the Gopi Chandan. Tulasi Maliko Raskam, and one whose chest is decorated with the Tulsi Mala. Sprisheyurna Yamodbhataha, the Yamakinkaras, the Yamadutas will never come and touch such a person, because Lord Yamaraj has strictly warned them never to approach Vaishnavas. And when a person is fully decorated with the Vaishnava symbols, then the Yamadutas from a distance only they pay obeisances and leave. They never come and touch such a person. It is a standing instruction which Yamaraj himself has given to the Yamadutas. So this is the 22nd limb of devotional service. Another verse he quotes from the Padma Puran to explain the same principle. Krishnamaksharayir gatram ankaye chandanadina saloka pavano bhutva tasya lokam avapnuyat. Krishna Namaksharair Gatram Ankayet. Krishna Nama Akshara, the words, the syllables indicating the name of Krishna. Gatram Ankayet, when one writes it on their body. Chandana Adina, with Chandan, Gopi Chandan, etc. I am not very sure if tattooing is a bona fide way of Vaishnava marking, but nevertheless definitely here Chandana Adina is mentioned, so which means Chandan, Gopi Chandan and other such things. Sa loka pavano bhutva, such a person can purify this whole earth. Tasya lokam avapnya, after purifying this whole earth, he will go back to the abode of Lord Vishnu. So this is considered as a very, very auspicious act of devotion, to write on one's body, not to show off to others. We don't have to show off to others, but we can indicate. This is another way of indicating that this body is a temple of the Supreme Lord and it should not be used in any non-Krishna conscious activities. For that purpose, as a self-reminder, one can write the names of the Supreme Lord on one's body using Gopi Chandan or Chandan, like that. This is the 22nd limb. The 23rd limb is Nirmalya Dhriti. So Nirmalya Dhriti means wearing the Nirmalya, remnants of the Supreme Lord. It could be garlands, it could be flowers, it could be tulsi offered to the Supreme Lord. Everything is considered Nirmalya, and accepting it with faith is a very powerful limb actually. Actually the other day we discussed the most important aspect of performing any of these limbs is actually faith. When that faith is powerful, that I am performing a very, very valuable, important service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it's a very, very glorious, then it can have glorious effects. But if one performs these very same activities without much faith, oh, it's just, sometimes we feel that, especially staying in the temple, there is very easy access to Nirmalya. And sometimes when devotees feel very lazy to walk around and dispose the Nirmalya that they have, then they look for some other people in whose neck they can put that garland, so that they don't have to take the responsibility of taking it to the place where Nirmalya can be disposed. So this is very unfortunate. I am also many times guilty of such activities. Actually, one should honor the Nirmalya very, very carefully, to the extent that we have great faith that I am performing an extremely important aspect of devotional service by wearing this garland. and this is taking me very close to the lotus feet of Krishna. When that act of such a simple thing as wearing the garland offered to the Supreme Lord is performed with faith, then that simple activity has tremendous effect. But generally, what we lack is faith. That is why we, even though we have unimaginable opportunity to progress in spiritual life, we make very slow progress because of lack of faith. Because faith is the fuel which can empower every single limb of devotional service. So therefore, it's very important that we spend time hearing about the glories of these limbs of devotional service, so that when we perform them with that right mood and faith, then it has tremendous potential. Like that. So, in the 11th canto, there is this favorite, very famous verse from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam about Nirmalya Dhriti. Tvayopabhukta sragganda vaso lankara charchitaha uchishta bojino dasas tava mayam jayemahi. It is mentioned that charchitaha means to decorate oneself. Srag refers to the flower garlands. Gandha refers to the fragrant oils which are offered to the Supreme Lord, like the oils which are offered to Narsingadev in Mayapur. So these kind of oils, one who uses them for purifying one's own body. Vaso, sometimes the clothes which are offered to the Supreme Lord can also be accepted and worshipped and used, and in a very respectful way, not like you would wear a t-shirt and then throw it in your washing machine, not in that way. And alankara and the ornaments used by the Lord can also be or equally worshipable. Tvaya upabhukta srag gandha vaso alankara charchitaha. And then most important, uchishta. Uchishta refers to the remnants of the food offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uchishta bhojino. One may accept the food that is offered to the Supreme Lord, and one should honor it in a mood which is appropriate for honoring the remnants of the Supreme Lord, not in a mood of enjoyment, but as Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned, while meditating on the meaning of the shloka which we chant before honoring prasadam, which is Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. So we will discuss this more when we discuss about honoring prasadam, which is also one of the limbs. So right now we are discussing Nirmalya Dhriti. So Tvayopabhukta srag gandha vaso alankara charchitaha uchishta bojino dasas tavamayam jayemahi. Just by wearing the garlands offered to the Supreme Lord, the bhoga offered to the Supreme Lord, the fragrant oils offered to the Supreme Lord, one can conquer over the illusory energy. Can you believe? Well, Krishna says that Mama Maya Duratyaya, it's extremely difficult to cross over my Maya, but such a Maya can be crossed by the simple act of wearing the garland offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is that easy. But faith is important. Generally, the simpler the activity is, the more difficult it is to invest faith, that it can actually transform the heart of that person. So we have to be very careful to protect that faith, to nurture that faith, to water that faith, and make that faith very healthy. Then one can then the simple acts can have very profound effect on our devotional life. And Skanda Puran, another verse he quotes from the Skanda Puran, Krishnottirnam tu nirmalyam yasyangam sprishate mune sarvarogaistata papair mukto bhavati narada. O Narada, Krishna uttirnam tu nirmalyam yasya angam sprishate mune. O Mune, O Narada Muni, when the nirmalya which is offered, the garland which is offered to the Supreme Lord is touched by the body of that person, mukto bhavati, he becomes completely freed. Sarva rogaihi tata papaihi, he becomes completely freed of all diseases and all sins. This is the potency. But of course, as we discussed yesterday, one should understand that these side benefits or material benefits which are indicated here will not act on devotees. They will get the highest benefit. Like for example, in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, there is an episode of Purukutsa and Narmada. There is a story that comes, short story. And at the end of that story, the Falashruti, or the benefit of hearing that story with faith, it is mentioned that a person who hears that story with faith need not fear of dying of a snake bite. This is the result. And this story is spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Not that Parikshit Maharaj was not hearing with faith, without faith. He was hearing with absolute faith. But at the end of it, he did leave his body due to a snake bite. So therefore, and also there were so many other episodes that were described, and it was mentioned that if one hears those episodes with faith, then one gets lot of material benefits. But ultimately, Parikshit Maharaj gave up all those material benefits and was sitting on the banks of Ganga or Yamuna. There are two different parties, and hearing, and there is no mention of Parikshit Maharaj gaining all those material benefits before leaving his body. So therefore, the point is that even though these scriptures may indicate many such material falashrutis, those material falashrutis are not for inspiring devotees, but devotees will get nothing less than Krishna Prem by practicing these limbs. So therefore, one should understand this and not be carried away or be titillated by such promises. So Krishnottirnam tu nirmalyam yasyangam sprishate mune sarva rogais tatha papair mukto bhavati narada. A devotee never practices devotional service for destroying his papa or to become disease free. A devotee practices devotional service for pleasure of Krishna, and automatically Krishna is definitely pleased with such an attitude, and automatically Krishna takes care of the body and sins of the devotee. He does promise that sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapepyo mokshayishyami. But one does not practice bhakti with that expectation from Krishna. We practice bhakti to please Krishna, that's all. And automatically Krishna destroys the prarabdha karma of the devotee and the aprarabdha karma of the devotee, and everything. Krishna takes care of the rest. He will not let the devotee suffer, even though the devotee has not specifically asked Krishna to relieve him of those distresses. But still Krishna does not let the devotee suffer. That is a side benefit that is automatically achieved. The 24th limb, next limb, is Agre Tandavam. Tandavam might remind one of Lord Shiva, but Tandavam has a generic meaning also, which just means dancing. So to dance in front of the Supreme Lord means it's a way of expressing one's joyful emotion towards the Supreme Lord. It's a way of just expressing joy. Even in the material world, when two friends or the husband and wife or the father and the son or the mother and son, they meet after a long time, one way by which they may express their joy is they might dance together. So to dance in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead actually is a way of expressing joy at having the opportunity to take darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, it's a very important aspect of devotional service. So he says, Nrityatam Shripateragre Talikavadanairbrisham Uddiyante Sharirasta Sarve Pataka Pakshina. The source is not mentioned, but it is quoted by Narada Muni. That much is indicated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So very poetic description. He says, Nrityatam Shripater Agre, one who dances in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Talika Vadanaihi, while clapping the hands, when one is dancing in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uddiyante Sharirasta Sarve Pataka Pakshina. Just like if there are many birds sitting in a tree, and if you go near the tree and clap your hands, all the birds will fly away due to fear. Similarly, the sins, patakas, are compared to pakshis, birds, which are sitting in the tree of our body. As in Bhagavad Gita, this material body is compared to a tree. Urdhvamulam adashakam ashvattam prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavit. It is compared to a inverted tree, banyan tree. Adaschordvam prasatas tasya shaka gunapravriddha vishaya pravala adascha mulani anusantatani karmanu bandini manushya loke. So this body or this life of samsara is compared to a tree, and in this tree are sitting the birds of sins. And just like when you clap your hands, the birds sitting in a tree will fly away due to fear. Similarly, when we come in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Hari, and clap our hands and dance, by that act of clapping and dancing, the birds of sins which are sitting in our body will all fly away. Uddiyante, they will just fly away. Sharirastaha, present in our body, sarve pataka pakshina, like that. So in this way, the dancing in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered to be a very, very glorious limb of devotional service. And especially in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, this is practiced very often, practically whenever there is a kirtan starting from morning Mangalarti to evening Gaurarti, there is dancing. It is very auspicious when done for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, in one of the Sri Vaishnava literatures, one of the Alvars, they were like the 6 Goswamis of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. There were 12 of them. Just like we have 6 Goswamis, they have 12 Alvars, who all were eternal associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who descended to this material world in order to protect the humanity and elevate the humanity through their writings glorifying the Supreme Lord and His abodes. So one of the Alvars writes that one should dance in front of the Supreme Lord, and while and one should dance in such a way that one's feet should touch the backside of the head in great joy. It's an expression of joy in getting the opportunity to take darshan of the Supreme Lord. And then he says, while you are dancing, people may think that you are mad, so they may make fun of you by clapping their hands. And the Alvar says, let them make fun of you by clapping their hands. You take their clapping as the percussion, and to the beat of their clapping you dance. Like that the Alvar says. And so therefore dancing in front of the Supreme Lord is glorified not just in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, but in other Sampradayas also it is emphasized, even though this might be one of the prominent limbs practiced in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Agre Tandavam, the 24th limb, is a very important limb. Another verse he quotes from the Dwaraka Mahatmya. He says, Yo nrityati prahrishtatma bhavair bahushu bhaktitah sanirdahati papani manvantara shateshvapi. Yo nrityati, one who dances, prahrishtatma, out of great joy, one who dances, bhavair bahushu bhaktitah, with lot of spiritual emotions. With lot of spiritual emotions, when one dances with great joy in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sa nirdahati papani, such a person destroys the sins, manvantara shateshvapi, that one might have accumulated in hundreds of manvantaras. Whatever sinful reactions that one might have accumulated is all destroyed just by the mere act of coming in front of the Lord and dancing in great joy. So one should not feel shy. Why should we feel shy? Sometimes in order to protect our body, we give up all shyness, and if in a we might lie down on the operation table of a doctor, completely being vulnerable, and sometimes he might have to operate an inner part also, and we allow the doctor to completely have access to our body without any shame, because we know that it will cure our body. So when it comes to curing our soul of all the conditionings, and when it comes to curing our soul of the envy that we have developed towards Krishna, and if it's going to help us develop love towards Krishna, then why should we feel shy to dance in front of the Supreme Lord? So therefore one should not feel shy, one should dance for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. If one is still feeling shy, it's okay, one can dance within their heart, and Krishna will understand. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. He is present in everyone's heart, so he will understand. If one is feeling very embarrassed to dance in front of public, one can dance within their heart, and Krishna will definitely understand and help us overcome that inhibition one day, so that we can actually dance, giving up all inhibition for his pleasure. Then the 25th limb is called as Dandavat Nati, offering obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he quotes a verse from the Naradiya Puran. Ekopi Krishnaya krita pranamo dashashvamedha avabhritairna tulyah dashashvamedi punareti janma Krishna pranami na punarbhavaya. So he says, Ekopi Krishnaya krita pranamo, one obeisances, one dandavat offered to Lord Krishna, Dasha Ashwamedha Avabhritairna Tulyah. Ashwamedha Yajna is a very difficult yajna. One Ashwamedha Yajna means you have to conquer the whole world once. Dasha Ashwamedha means 10 times you have to. It's not an easy thing. And by performing Ashwamedha Yajna, what you gain is actually material only. So one obeisances offered to Krishna for his pleasure cannot be compared even with performing 10 Ashwamedha Yajna. Dashashwamedhi punareti janma. One who has successfully performed 10 Ashwamedha Yajnas will have to take birth again. Krishna pranami na punarbhavaya. But one who has offered one obeisances to Krishna will not have to take birth again. So in this way, the simple act of offering obeisances to Krishna is glorified if performed with faith. That is the most important thing. That is why we are discussing these things. That is why it is important to discuss these things. We may know we have been doing all these things before, but again and again we should sit and discuss, because these are not ordinary activities. When performed with faith, they have tremendous potency. So dandavat nati. Therefore, if you see, there are people who do Govardhan Parikrama, and there are people who do Dandavat Parikrama of Govardhan. 21 kilometers, they just prostrate, and wherever their hand reaches, they will keep a stone for marking, and then they will go and stand there, offer obeisances, like that, cover the whole. 21 kilometers to walk barefoot can be such a difficult job actually, because we do it once a year when we go for, not even once a year, whenever we go for the Vrindavan Yatra, at that time we try to do. But it's such an excruciating activity. By the time you complete the 21 kilometers, you are like, your feet is blistered, your knees are paining, your body is paining, and you have, it's very difficult. And then for the next 2 days you can't do anything. And there are people who have so much faith in Giriraj Ji that they spend years completing one Dandavat Parikrama. There are some people who spend decades doing 108. At one place they do 108 Dandavats and then go to the next step, This way they take decades to complete one Parikrama. It's unimaginable. But if one has that kind of faith, that he is willing to sacrifice his life, literally his whole life is sacrificed. So, but will Krishna let that devotee down? Never. So therefore, Krishna pranami na punarbhavaya. One who offers one obeisance to Krishna will never take birth again, provided when offered with faith. 26th limb is Abhyuttanam. Abhyuttanam means rising up when the deity approaches. So when the Supreme Lord comes in his palanquin, or sometimes he during the Ratha Yatra he comes in a Ratha. So when one gets up to receive the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is one of the limbs. Krishna considers, oh, he is doing devotional service. It's such an easy thing. We get up for so many different things. We get up for so many inconsequential things. But that same getting up, when you get up when Krishna comes, Krishna rewards you unlimited, he rewards us with unlimited devotional credits. How much more easy can devotional service be? That is why Krishna says, Susukam kartum avyayam. It is so pleasurable to perform devotional service. Just that we need to have that faith. So he quotes this verse from the Brahmanda Puran. Yanarudam puraprekshya samayantam janardanam abhyuttanam narakurvan patayet sarva kilbisham. Yanarudam, Yana Arudam. Yanarudam means sitting on a palanquin. Purapreksha, seeing the Supreme Lord coming in front of him, sitting on a palanquin. Samayantam, Janardanam, sitting on the palanquin and approaching. Some Ayantam means to come towards us. Janardanam, the Supreme Lord. Abhyuttanam Narakurvan, if a person gets up, Patayet Sarva Kilbisham, all the sins are destroyed just for that simple activity. This is what Brahmanda Puran says. Abhyuttanam, rising in front of the Supreme Lord. Not only that, after getting up, if you follow the procession of the Supreme Lord, this is another limb. Anuvrajya, following after the Lord's procession. This is the 27th limb. He quotes a verse from the Bhavishottara Puran. Ratena saha gacchanti parshvata prishtato grataha vishnunaiva sama sarve bhavanti shvapajadayah. So Bhavishottara Puran says, Ratena saha gacchanti, one who goes along with the Ratha, parshvatah prishtato agratah, either in the front or with, in the side or behind, whatever it may be, east, west, north, south, whichever direction, in front of the Ratha, behind the Ratha, or on the sides, does not matter. What is Krishna willing to give to such a person? Vishnu naiva sama sarve bhavanti shvapajadaya. If that person who is following the procession of the Supreme Lord, even if he may be as degraded as a Chandala, he can get a form similar to Lord Vishnu and go back home, back to Godhead, go to Vaikuntha. That is how potent is any limb of devotional service actually. Anuvrajya, following the Lord's procession. Then 28th limb is Sthane Gatihi. Sthane Gatihi means going to the places of the Lord. So this can refer to a dham or this can refer to a temple of the Lord. Both are called as Sthane Gatihi, going to the place of worship of the Supreme Lord. So it is mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami says, what is this sthanam? He says, sthanam tirtam griham chasya tatra tirte gatiryata. Sthanam tirtam cha asya griham. Sthanam refers to either the tirtha, the dham of the Supreme Lord, cha asya griham, or his temple. Tatra tirte gatiryata. First, let me give you an example for going to the dham of the Lord, tirtha. Tirtha gati. Tirtha gati, then griha gati or mandira gati. So first he says, this is also from some Purana, but which Purana it is not very clear, not mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami. So he says, samsara marukantara nistara karanakshamau shlagyau taveva charanau yauhares tirtha gaminau. He says, charanau, those 2 feet, yau, which harehe tirtha gaminau, those 2 feet which walk towards the tirtha of the Supreme Lord, towards the dham of the Supreme Lord, taveva shlagyau. Shlagya means very glorious. Those 2 feet are glorious. Why? Nistara karana kshamau. Those 2 feet which have walked to the dham are capable of, or they are good enough to cross over the ocean of samsara. One can walk over the ocean of samsara with those very same legs. They have the strength to carry one over the ocean of samsara. Samsara marukantara. So here instead of ocean, the ocean of samsara, here it is called samsara maru. It is a hot desert. but the legs are, these two legs are perfectly capable of carrying that person across the desert of samsara easily. How did those legs become so capable? By walking to the dham of the Supreme Lord. So walking to the dham is very important. So many times if there is an opportunity to walk and if there is time and energy, then we should walk. In olden days, people used to walk from South India towards North India for various pilgrimage places, like that. So sthane gatihi, going to the places of the Lord. Then the second type of sthane gati is going to the temple. So this is from the book Hari Bhakti Sudhoday, where it is mentioned, Pravishan alayam Vishnor darshanartam subhaktiman nabhuya pravishen matu kukshikaragraham sudihi. Sudihi, that intelligent person, Pravishan alayam Vishnor, who enters into the temple of Lord Vishnu. For what purpose? Darshana artham, for the purpose of taking darshan of the Supreme Lord. Subhaktiman, with great devotion, that person who enters the temple of the Lord with great devotion for the purpose of taking darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, na bhuyah pravishet, he does not have to again enter matu kukshi karagraham, into the prison house of another mother's womb. 10 months, how a child could live in such a cramped up space of his mother, very excruciating pain. Bhagavatam 3rd canto, Kapila describes the excruciating pain experienced by that small living entity within the womb of his mother for 10 months. In each and every month, what exactly happens, what excruciating pain that living entity has to undergo is described in Bhagavatam in great detail. So therefore, if one walks to the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with devotion for the purpose of, with great eagerness to take darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then such a person would not have to again enter into the mother's womb, which means his liberation is guaranteed. Like that. The other day we saw the example of the eagerness of Manavala Mamuni. We saw one of the great saints in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. We saw his story briefly about how he was so attracted to take darshan of the Supreme Lord, Lord Ranganath in Srirangam. And one day, it so happened that he was a householder, and it so happened that one day he was very eagerly walking towards the temple to take darshan of Lord Ranganath, and he was meditating intensely with great eagerness that I am going to take darshan of the Supreme Lord. And at that very moment, someone came to him and told, sorry, please wait, you cannot go to take darshan of Lord Ranganath because one of your relatives has passed away. And he said, oh, is it? So for the next 10 or 13 days you cannot go. He said, oh really? So then he immediately turned direction, walked directly towards river Kaveri, took bath there and accepted sannyas. Because for a sannyasi, such rules do not apply. Such was his eagerness to take darshan of the Supreme Lord that he, without thinking for a moment, he decided there are only two options, either death or social death. Sannyas means social death and death means giving up the body. He said, which is better? Better I accept social death by accepting sannyas. At least I will get the opportunity to take darshan of Lord Ranganath. What will I do by giving up this body? I will lose the opportunity to take darshan of Lord Ranganath. Just unable to tolerate 10 days of not having darshan of the Supreme Lord, without thinking for another moment, he went and immediately took sannyas. If one has that much eagerness and faith in taking darshan of the Supreme Lord or going to the temple of the Supreme Lord, then that walking can be such a potent limb of devotional service. That's why we are again and again discussing on this theme of faith. That is why we all say that we have to take darshan, or we have to perform all these limbs through our ears. We have to sufficiently hear about the glories of each one of these limbs. Then that would enhance our faith so much, and with that enhanced faith, when we go and take darshan, it is such a potent activity. The 29th limb of devotional service is, everything is connected to walking. You walk to the dham, it is one limb of devotional service. Walk to the temple, another limb. Or you walk around the temple, it is another limb of devotional service. To circumambulate is an act of devotion. So how much devotional service we can do just using our 2 feet? He quotes another verse from the Hari Bhakti Sudhodai. Vishnum pradakshini kurvan yastatra vartate punah tadeva vartanam tasya punarnavartate bhave. He says, Vishnum pradakshini kurvan. Dakshini kurvan means keeping the temple on our right. So when we are going around the temple is always on our right. Or whatever we are circumambulating, that object has to be on our right. That is why it is called as pradakshina. Dakshina means on the right. So Vishnum pradakshini kurvan tatra eva avartate punaha. One who starts from a point, goes around the temple, and when he comes back to that same point, tad eva avartanam, that very act of coming back to the same point, tasya punarnavartate bhave, will ensure that he will not have to come back again into this material world, which means liberation is guaranteed. This is just one act of performing circumambulation. So we are reminding each other about the potency of these simple activities of devotion, so that we can meditate on what great opportunity we have to progress in devotional service. How simple, how much more simple can progress in devotional service be? We are not expected to perform difficult Ashtanga Yoga asanas and stand upside down for days together. Such an easy thing. We always walk. We walk for health, we jog for health. If we walk or jog towards a temple, then how much benefit we can get actually. That's how much easy the practice of devotional service is. Another verse he quotes from the Skanda Puran. Chaturvaram brahmibhistu jagat sarvam characharam krantam bhavati vipragya tattirtha gamanadikam. He says, Chaturvaram brahmibhihi. One who circumambulates the Lord 4 times, Jagat Sarvam Characharam Krantam Bhavati. He surpasses the world of moving and non-moving creatures, which means he achieves liberation. Tat Tirtha Gamanadikam. And 4 times circumambulating the Lord's temple is considered to be superior to going to any holy place. Of course, going to a holy place we saw is one of the most important limbs of devotional service. But circumambulating the Lord is still more important. That is what is indicated here while quoting from the Skanda Puran verse. So Srila Jiva Goswami says, circumambulation of the deity is superior to visiting tirthas. Why? because it more quickly produces devotion to the Lord than going to tirthas such as the Ganga, like that. This is the 29th limb, circumambulating the Lord. And finally, 30th limb is Archanam. Archanam means deity worship. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Shuddhi Nyasadi Purvanga Karma Nirvaha Purvakam Archanam tu Upacharanam Syan Mantrena Upapadanam. He says, Archanam Syat. What is this Archana? Upacharanam Upapadanam. Offering items, Shodashopachar, 16 items we offer. Mantrena, along with the mantra. Like if you are offering puja to the Supreme Lord or the Shalagram Shila, when the 16 upacharas are offered, you chant various mantras, appropriate mantras for appropriate upacharas. And Purvanga Karma Nirvahar Purvakam. So after performing the Purvanga Karmas, so just before starting the actual worship of the Supreme Lord through Archanam, there are certain Purvanga Karmas, the preliminary activities, such as Shuddhi Nyasa, such as Bhuta Shuddhi, Nyasa. These are various kinds of activities which we perform to purify our body, purify our consciousness, purify our subtle body, like that, so that we can enter into the altar of the Supreme Lord in the right consciousness to serve Him in a pleasing way. So this is called as Archanam. Archanam means offering the upacharas with mantra after performing the Purvanga karmas such as Bhuta Shuddhi and Nyasa. So Shuddhi here refers to Bhuta Shuddhi, or purifying the elements of the body. So like offering certain prayers that, my dear Lord, may this body be utilized for your service, like that. And then, or Yasmaret Pundari Kaksham Sabahyabyantara Shuchihi, like that. Nyasa refers to nyasa such as Matrika Nyasa. These are other activities which also purify. And these and other actions, the Purvanga karmas, are performed prior to offering of items to the deity. We offer 16 upacharas to the deity. Before that, we perform certain Purvanga karmas to purify our consciousness and body. Offering of items with mantra along with these preliminary activities is called as Archana. That's what Srila Rupa Goswami is indicating here. So he quotes a verse from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam to substantiate that how this Archanam is a very important limb of devotional service. He says, Swargapavargayo pumsam rasayam bhuvi sampadam sarvasam api siddhinam moolam taccharanarchanam. So he says that Taha Charana Archanam, worship of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Pumsam Sarvasam api Siddhinam Moolam, is the root cause of all kinds of perfection that a human being can attain. Is Pumsam Charana Archanam, worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Where Swarga Apavargayoho Rasayam Bhuvi Sampadam, that worship may happen in the Swarga or in Vaikunta, anywhere. But worshipping his lotus feet is the root cause of achieving all success. But generally, one should not say, oh, which means Kirtanam is not the root. Does it mean Shravanam is not the root? No. Generally, when a particular limb of devotional service is glorified, you should understand that that limb is the representative of all the other limbs of bhakti. So here Archanam is mentioned. So Archanam is the representative of all the other limbs of bhakti. That's what here Srila Jiva Goswami is mentioning. In this verse, Archana is emphasized and is thus mentioned as the moolam or root to glorify it. However, the greatness of other angas of bhakti should be understood to be similar. Archanam is so great, Shravanam is also similarly great, Kirtanam is also similarly great. If Archana is absent, another anga of bhakti can be performed and it can fulfill the same function. So therefore, One should not think it is a specific glorification of that particular limb of devotional service. It is, but it is also a more generic glorification of the process of devotional service itself. Another verse is quoted from the book Vishnu Rahasya. He says, Shri Vishnor ye tu prakurvanti nara bhuvi te yanti shashvatam Vishnor anandam paramam padam. Ye naraha Shri Vishnor archanam prakurvanti. Those human beings who worship, who perform archana of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, bhuvi, on this earth, te yanti, such people can go Shashvatam Vishnur Padam, the eternal abode of Lord Vishnu, which is Vaikunta. Anandam Paramam, in which there is bliss and bliss alone, nothing else. So one who worships the Supreme Lord Vishnu can go to that abode. So in this way, the glory of Archana is established by quoting various verses from various literatures. So we will pause here for the day. We have already crossed the allotted time. So tomorrow we will continue with the 31st limb onwards and then move on further till we complete the 64 limbs. So thank you very much for your patient listening. It was great pleasure having your association to discuss such sweet subject matters. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.